How I feel? Relax. What I want?
Get back slow, I love the way she rockin' it. I love the way she move it, shake it on me. When she clap her hips, the shawty is the winner. You can tell that shawty's no beginner. She's confident. I love the way she move it.
YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here. We another Washington Commanders video, and in today's video, I'm coming on here with a video where we're going to be talking about Ron Rivera saying that he feels confident in his job he's done with the Washington Commanders. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. But before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're on the road to 7,000 subscribers, so please help me get to there as soon as possible by hitting that subscribe button and turning on post notifications. Thank you so much. Let's get straight into today's video. So today is Friday. The Washington Commanders are getting ready to take on the New York Giants, and who's excited about that game? I mean, you're not going to win that game if you're the Washington Commanders. Whether you win or you lose, you're not gonna get no cool points for, right? If you beat the Giants, you're supposed to. They're terrible. If you lose to the Giants, you're all of a sudden the worst team in the NFL. So like this Sunday game is like as meaningless as it gets. But you still got to take the approach as if this is your very last game. So the media had their press conference with Ron Rivera, as they often do throughout the week. And it's funny how after I made the video calling out the DC media, they finally decide to switch up their questions. Now, I'm not necessarily saying I have a direct impact on that because I highly doubt that. I highly doubt those guys know I exist, and I highly doubt that they saw my video. But it's just a little funny how when I make that video, they finally decide to switch up their questions. However, the Washington Commanders media talked to Ron Rivera today, and they asked about his job security and how does he feel about that. Now, I'm going to read you guys what Ben Standing had to say, and then I'm going to let you guys listen to what John Keim recorded from today's press conference. So this is first from Ben Standing. He says, today's press session with Ron Rivera included talks about his future here. He's confident with what has transpired. He says, I've been through enough. The last 3 years have not been easy. It's been a lot. Is the culture better? Have we found a quarterback? That's all I can control. Now, I don't know how you guys perceive that. This is how I perceived it before we actually hear him say it. Okay, he's gonna say the same thing. I'm pretty sure in the press conference that we watch or listen to from John Keim. But this is This is us reading it first. Okay, so from me reading it, I feel like Ron Rivera is kind of copping a plea. I feel like Ron Rivera is kind of like he's trying to look for some type of sympathy, and he knows like the ownership is probably looking to replace him next year, so he's looking for some type of like sympathy or some type of rope to be like, hey, give me one more chance here. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna read it one more time before I give the rest of my opinion. He says this again: I've been through enough. The last 3 years have not been easy. It's been a lot. Is the culture better? Have we found our quarterback? That's all I can control. I'm gonna be honest with you, Ron. That is not all you can control, okay? This was your show, bro. You ran this show. This was a coach-centric approach going back to the last ownership group. This was all of you, my guy. So that was not all you can control. You had opportunities to dress the quarterback position in 2020. You've had opportunities to get a linebacker. You had opportunities to bring in your own staff. You've had opportunities to fire coaches that weren't getting the job done. You had your opportunity to turn this thing around, and quite frankly, you haven't done that. Now, I don't expect a coach that's still coaching to admit that he's done a terrible job, but you got to be honest with yourself here, Ron. You just didn't do a good enough job, and you can't change it now, so it's no point of, trying to say, hey, look, that's all I can control. No, you controlled this whole thing, man. There was no GM standing in your way. The GMs that were here were guys that you hired, so it wasn't like they were on your back. They weren't allowing you to do what you do. You had the opportunity to do everything you wanted here, and everything you did do here was not good enough. Nobody told you to draft Jamin Davis in the first round when he clearly wasn't a first round draft pick. No one told you to draft Chase Young, even though I wanted Chase Young at the time. You can easily say, hey, we should have went Justin Herbert or Tua Tagovailoa now, but you had the opportunity to do that. You were sitting at 2. You could have did that if you wanted to. Nobody told you to draft Emmanuel Forbes. Nobody told you to draft Quan Martin. You decided decided to do that. So that's not all you can control. Yes, building the culture here, which was very, very poor before you came here, was a part of the job and a part of the turnaround. But that's not all you controlled, okay? And then on top of that, you just better be happy Taylor Heineke decided not to play, because I highly doubt you would have gave Sam Howell an opportunity to start if Taylor Heineke didn't let him play in the last game of the season. So I'm not trying to not give you credit for drafting Sam Howell, but don't make it seem like we have the franchise quarterback. That's all I control. We did that. Like you didn't. I don't think you knew what Sam Howell could be. And that's probably not fair for me to really say, because you are a coach at the end of the day and you have an eye for talent somewhat, but I don't know if I fully believe like you thought Sam Howell was that dude until you saw what he did last year in the game versus Dallas, right? But Ron Rivera, again, I have no problems with you, man. I really don't. I thank you, and the day you do get fired, I'm going to stand up and come on here and thank you. I'm not going to be nasty, messy towards you, because you did deal with a lot of it. You had cancer, right? And you definitely did turn this culture around. It's just your lack of talent that you was able to put on this roster at this point, it has been piss poor. The lack of personnel groups that you put together hasn't been good. And again, you have to own that up here. So that's really what I have to say the first half. Now let's listen to what John Keim recorded from the same very press conference. You're about to listen in on Ron Rivera from today's press conference. So here we go.
I mean, I understand the situation and circumstances. But I'm not going to waver on anything. I'm going to stick to what I talked about in the spring, and that was the growth and development of the quarterback and the offensive unit. I think with what we're doing and how we're doing things, it's kind of the progression of how it would be. My big disappointment has been we haven't played as well on defense that we needed to. Does that make my job security shaky? It could. I mean, I have no idea what Mr. Harris is going to do. So all I can do is just focus in on each game, each week, and just stay on that game. I did the same thing in Carolina, and the truth is, I mean, this is the nature of the game. I get it. So if it happens, it happens. If that I stay, I stay. And so until then, I will just continue to work. I know what my goals are. I know what my vision is. But I'm not going to shake and waver on Sam or this offense or what we do. It's just, I'm really done. I mean, I'm confident and comfortable in who I am and what I do. I've been through enough. The last 3.5 years has not been easy. Anybody thinks it's been easy, to hell with them. And I'll be honest with you, because that's how I feel about those last 3 years. It's been a lot. We've done a lot. We've had our moments. But, the thing that feels good is, at the end of the day, questions that need to be asked, the culture better, and then we found the quarterback. That's all I can control. I control what I can, and that's the way I'm going to look at it.
Okay, so that was from Ron Rivera. Yeah, basically heard what Ben Standing had put out on Twitter, but I wanted you guys to hear it from the horse's mouth. And again, what is he supposed to say, right? Of course, he's gonna say the whole I control what I control. If I'm here, if I'm not here, blah blah blah. I've been through this in Carolina. Same old thing that he says, all the time. My thing with that is, like, again, Ron, you control this whole show, so you can't just be like, hey, look, I control what I control with the quarterback thing and all the other things. Now, again, like I said, he's been through a tough 3 years as far as on the field goes and in his personal life. We understand that. And again, I'm not being naive to that. I understand. It's not easy. But you were brought into this position to change around this team, and you knew what you were getting yourself into. At least you should have. Okay? After you got fired from Carolina, if you didn't know what you were getting yourself into in Washington, maybe you should have took a year off to avoid Washington and his dumpster fire. Because you knew what you were signing up for, man. Right? Back in 2019 when you signed that contract going into 2020, early 2020, you knew Dan Snyder was a bad owner. You knew he had a lot of allegations attached to his name, and you knew he was going to throw you out there in the fire to answer him. So if you weren't prepared for that, you maybe should have reassessed your job title, and maybe don't accept this job at the end of the day. But you did, and you were in a position to change this team around for the last 4 years, and quite frankly, You didn't do that. Next thing I'm going to say, run! If I hear something about this development of the young quarterback again, I am going to explode, man. I mean, is that your way out of every conversation now, bro? Now that you have a quarterback, maybe this is why we shouldn't have got a franchise quarterback until you left, huh? Because that was going to be your way out of every single conversation, man. Yeah, we got the quarterback, development of the young quarterback. Man, we get the development of the young quarterback. But the reason why the defense is playing poorly because of your draft choices, because of who you decided to bring in this personnel group to assess talent. Martin Mayhew, 0-16, general manager. How did you think that was going to be good? So look in the mirror, my guy. This whole operation is you. And you're the reason why this failed, not anybody else, man. And you say your vision, you still have a vision, you still have goals. What goals? What are those goals, man? If it was to make it to the playoffs, win a Super Bowl ring, you should have been better in your approach. You had years to draft better players. I mean, you had cornerstone players. Did y'all see Kyle Hamilton yesterday? Just to show of hands, did y'all see Kyle Hamilton yesterday? And I know, under Jack Del Rio, he probably wouldn't be playing as good and as freely. But did y'all see Kyle Hamilton dropping back in coverage step for step with the receiver in space, blitzing, getting in the face of the quarterback? Yes, like he was all over the place. We could have had that. Remember, before we traded back with the Saints, that draft class, we were right there, almost available to get Kyle Hamilton, because I believe we were at 11, and I think he was there, but we traded back, and then we had 2 more spots. Ravens were 2 spots ahead of us, and they took him after we traded back. So you could have had Kyle Hamilton. You could have had Brian Branch this past draft. Like, you had opportunities. You could have drafted Christian Darrisaw to solve your left tackle position, but you took Jamin Davis. Like, bro, this is your whole operation, my dog. So, like, if there's any reason why this thing didn't go as planned or anything like that, you're the reason for it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I guess the positive attitude is to feel like he still feels good, and he feels like everything that has transpired here was good, and he feel like, how can you feel good about that? He says he feel good about everything that's transpired here. How? We've been average since you got here, and he feels confident in his job security, but again, he's still not oblivious to what could possibly change. So I mean, again, I'm not mad at Ron for feeling confident. What are you supposed to do? You're not going to show up to work every day thinking you're going to get fired, even though in the back of his head, he probably knows this is the end of the road in Washington and probably his coaching career, but he's not going to openly admit that. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I'm not mad at him for still feeling confident about him being the head coach here in Washington. But I do honestly feel like he's kind of looking for a way out and looking for some type of sympathy from the ownership group to maybe give him one more shot at this thing to get it right. But, Ron, we can't, man. We can't, bro. You have had 4 years to do this thing right, and you already have coaches come in and surpass you in their first year. D'Amico Ryans, obviously what Shane Steichen is doing. And I want to say that was Robert Saleh hired a year after him, because I know the Jets didn't necessarily do anything yet, but they have a good roster. They're obviously just missing the quarterback, and they did not expect Aaron Rodgers to go down, so he was gonna be their head coach. I mean, he was gonna be their quarterback, and they probably would have been at the top of the AFC East at this point, right? Then he was hired on January 2021, so that's a coach that has came in after you that has already out coached you and has done more for their team. Mike McDaniel was hired February 6, 2022, and he's already out-coached you in your tenure here in Washington. There's coaches around the league that has been short-term, and they have already out-coached you here, and you're talking about still growth and development of this quarterback and this team, and you're in year 4. You should be competing for championships right now. Washington should be at 6-3, 7-3, 6-4 at this current moment, competing for a wild card spot, potentially this division, but we're at 4-6, and that's a sole reflection of you, because the talent on this offense offense is ready to win. And again, the reason why this defensive talent is not as good is because of your decision making, Ron. And that's just the truth of the matter, as you like to say. You didn't have to go out and get a Percy Butler. You could have drafted a much better player at the safety position. You could have signed. You could have been more aggressive in free agency. You had money to do that. You didn't have to sign these low end guys. Like you could have had. He's had opportunities to bring in star players, and he decided not to. He decided to be soft to free agency, relaxed, as if his team doesn't need any upgrading, and then look at the results we get. You're expecting Durango to move like a foreign car. Just not how it goes. A Durango is not gonna drive like a Bugatti. You rented a Durango, and you're expecting it to drive like a Bugatti. If you wanted the Bugatti, you should have paid the Bugatti money when you had the chance to get the Bugatti, and you didn't do that. You look around our rosters on the defensive side of the ball. Do we have one foreign car? Cam Curl, probably I'd say a nice high-class BMW, but I don't know if Cam Curl is even a Lambo or anything like that. Cam Curl is a nice high-class BMW with a chance, if he gets turnovers, to turn into a foreign car. Other than that, we don't have no foreign car on our defense. Offensive side of the ball, we got maybe what? 1 in Terry, 2 in Sam. Sam is probably a foreign car. He's probably a couple upgrades away from maxing out to that, though, because he is still in his first year. So maybe Terry and Sam as 2 foreign cars. Everybody else is nice speed, and they're great quality cars, okay? Don't get me wrong. But we don't have enough of those. And you've had opportunities to get enough of those, and you decided not to, Ron. So this whole operation failed because of you, Ron. That's all I'm going to say. So, again, he'll probably end up owning it. And who knows? Maybe behind closed doors, he's owning up to his mistakes and knowing that this thing failed because of him. But right in the public eye, he's probably not going to admit that. So, again, I just wanted to come on here to talk about that. Ron Rivera feels good about his job security. Even though he knows that there is a chance that he could be gone after this year, he still feels positive. And, again, what are you supposed to do right now? You're not supposed to come to work down. You're supposed to feel confident. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to blame him for it, but reality is soon to set in for Mr. Ronald Eugene Rivera. So let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section down below. As always, it's been your boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, subscribe. Hail to the Washington Commanders. We're on the road to 7,000 subscribers. Please help me get there as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Hey, I have a blessed one. See y'all later. Peace.